rich people are rich in mindset before they become rich in money. And the mindset that every single one, and so you can have a rich mindset before you become rich. And you actually need to have a rich mindset before you become rich. And so if you're poor, you could change your mindset today and it will change your life. And so Kara wasn't making a lot of bank in 2019, but she decided to change her mindset and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to have the mindset of a rich person. And the mindset of a rich person is rich people buy time. They don't buy stuff. That's what they do.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Today, I have an extremely special guest. This person has been such a huge, has played such a huge role in the evolution of Smart Success PT, moving to Smart Success for Healthcare. I met this person in 2019, I believe. This is in 2019. I met this person, and it has been an amazing journey. It's been has grown into an amazing friendship. It went from mentorship to a friendship to even partnerships. Maybe that's what we'll call today's episode. I don't know what we're going to call it, but anyways, I would like to welcome Kara Welke to the podcast. This is your first time on Secrets for Success.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here and so appreciative for having met you back in 2019. And holy cow, I can't believe that it's already 2024. Wow, where has time gone?
Yeah, really. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about what you do, who you are, and let's talk about that first encounter. Okay, so go ahead.
Perfect. So hello, everyone. My name's Kara Welke. I'm an occupational therapist. I've been an occupational therapist since 2000 and worked in about every setting you can imagine. Once I had kids, I decided to really kind of try to be more of a stay-at-home mom and work on the side. And when I first did that, I tried the stay-at-home mom route altogether, but decided that's just not me. I really like to get out and do things. And so I ended up working just a few days a week. And then I was able to be at home with my kids the other days. And on top of that, they got to get out and meet people, meet friends, and grow and so forth. So I worked in all different settings. And in 2012, I actually switched from working 3 days a week to teaching. I taught in an OTA program. And I go back to, I always felt I provided good quality therapy, but it wasn't until I went back to teaching that I feel like I really dived more into what we're really supposed to do as occupational therapists and really got back to our roots as an OT. And throughout that journey, I started to see through my students that a lot of places out there, the therapists were kind of stuck in ruts, doing kind of the same thing every day. Students would come back and they're like, they're not doing anything you're teaching us to do. They're doing like the UBE or exercise or not really occupation-based therapy. And I ended up going back to get my doctorate, and I did a program in a facility to really bring occupation-based therapy back to practice. And at that time, I also saw the need that I really need to start my business, but I didn't know how to do it, where to even go, and it was just kind of a scary time. So I knew I wanted to start a business, didn't know how to do it. So I ended up doing a capstone project, creating this program, and the program went over well, and the facility wanted to keep it, but there was really no one there to run it. And I happened to meet someone that was going to start a home health Part A company, and they needed a therapist to provide therapy for them. And I was like, oh, I've been always dreaming about doing outpatient in the home under Med B, and this would be a great partnership. And I actually, tried to get them to do that outpatient Part B program because I didn't know enough then. And that I could work for them and I could do home health under Part A with them and also do this outpatient Part B. And he was like, no, you need to start your own business and you can do the Part B side of things and run that side of things. And then you can contract with us. I was like, okay. I mean, that makes sense. And so I just dove in and I had no idea what I was doing and made lots of costly mistakes throughout the process, tried to find help, but really couldn't find much out there. Reached out to AOTA. They didn't really have much at that time either. And this was in July of 2018.
Okay.
And so then fast forward, struggle bus. Come like, believe it was like April of 2019, maybe March, April 2019, I attended the AOTA conference in New Orleans. And when I was there, one of my friends, Brian Batt, shout out to him, he went to school with me. He sent me the link to your guys's, to Smart Success Healthcare, well, Smart Success PT at that time, conference in Clearwater. And I was reading through it. I'm like, oh, this looks like it's pretty good. And he's like, I think you should go to that. That would help you with your business. Well, I'm like, well, it's for PT. I don't know if it would really relate. So then I reached out to you and some other people who were attending. I'm pretty sure David was one that responded to me and so forth. And literally in that short of time when I was at that conference, I'm like, okay, I'm going. So I took my entire family to Florida because we're like, well, we'll use it as a vacation and attend that conference. And that's kind of when everything started. I met Greg and I know I was like this crazy person, like, we need to do this for OT and we don't have anything like this for OT and and so forth. And it was at that conference that I started our Facebook group, Next Level Occupational Therapy, based off of being there at the conference, and just got super excited. And then that's when I learned, I mean, you know how clueless I was, Greg, with like the online world of business and so forth. And that's when I learned also that there's so much more. I mean, yes, I needed to work on my business, home therapy solutions, and I needed help for that. But I also was like, oh, I could start another business where we're helping therapists do what I'm doing. So that all sparked at that conference back in 2019. And then I joined Greg's mastermind program. And through that program, I started different programs. We started our therapy business builder program like that fall to help other therapists start and build their business. And yeah, I mean, it's just been going ever since then. Constantly reviewing, improving, listening to feedback, improving. And I think it was that because I was still working while trying to run two businesses. And I believe it was that kind of December or whatever where you kind of helped me. I mean, I resigned from teaching.
Right.
I believe it was like in that December of 2019 when I was finally done with teaching and resigned and left that. And then I went full in with my home therapy solutions business and Next Level.
Okay.
So yeah, I always say Greg was the one who really got that fire starting and that conference and Greg and his coaching and so forth. And then I've just kind of gone from there.
Okay. There are so many things that I remember. I'm going to give you my perspective of all that, or at least, you know, what I felt happened during all of that time. So I remember meeting you at this conference, the first time I've ever met you. And you basically said this to me. I'll never forget. You're like, we need this for OTs. I'm like, yes, sure. and you know, guys, there's so many times where I hear people on social media saying, we need this for this people, or things need, like we need change, or we need this, or we need that. Okay, and that's wonderful. But here's what made Kara Welke different than the majority of other people. She's like, we need this for OT, is what she said. And then she said, I'm going to start one of those Facebook group things. And then I think it was like an hour or so later, you did it. I don't think she knew what the heck she was doing. I did not do a Facebook group, how to start a Facebook group talk. But she was just like, I'm going to figure this out. What she knew is that there was a problem. Okay, the problem was that occupational therapists didn't have the community that I had created in Smart Success for PTs. Kara Welke saw an opportunity, but instead of just saying, I see the opportunity, she actually pounced on it and said, I'm going to do something about it right now, while I have the momentum, while I have the energy. And that's what she did. And it was at that event, she created a group called Next Level OT. And Kara, from that group, do you realize the impact that has been made?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, thousands of therapists have either gone on to start their own business, or maybe they're using their degree in a different way for a different position that they like, or they've been involved in continuing education or live events. I usually get messages weekly, maybe sometimes even daily, from therapy professionals, that not even just in our program, but that are just in the group that have been inspired in some way to go to the next level, do something different for them. And that's the big thing is we need to think above and beyond traditional healthcare. And it's crazy how many people think that all we can do with our degrees is traditional healthcare, but there's so many more opportunities out there that can open up your lives to not just a better work setting or work life, but also help you in your own family life so you can do more and impact not only your life, but your kids and, family and so forth. Now, I will say that it can also create more stress, like say for my husband, especially with me running two businesses, and sometimes things get a little crazy, so it's not always glorious, but we were able to take the kids, and my children are not really kids anymore, they're young adults, like 21, 20 and almost 18, but we were able to go to Alaska and get a motorhome and go wherever we want. We're able to do things together. My biggest reason for starting a business in the first place is because I hated working weekends. I hated working holidays. I did not want to ever miss one of my kids' events. And even though I just worked 3 days a week, and then when I taught, we worked school hours, but I still felt it was key that I always was working because I wanted to stay up to date with everything. So that meant I was on a weekend rotation and things like that. Yeah. And I would have my son's basketball tournament, and I didn't want to miss it. So again, one of the key things for me has always been that I have that flexibility to always be there for my children's events. Like this summer, William, my youngest, he had a baseball tournament in South Dakota. And I have a lot of stuff going on, working, both businesses, trying to get ready to go on vacation, and I was going to skip it. My family was talking about this recently, and I had nightmares about missing his event and about him being little again. I got up that morning and I went, and I could. And that's the greatest thing about this flexibility. So hopefully people continue to be inspired and see that we don't have to be stuck in a traditional job working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 or 7 to 3, and working rotating weekends, that there's other things we can do and have that flexibility to be there for our family, friends, when we need or want to be.
Oh, gosh. There are so many gold nuggets, no pun intended, because I'm about to talk about the Path to Gold Challenge that we're going to do. But there's so many amazing things that you just said there. But and I want to break down a lot of it. But before I do that, I actually want to honor you. I've known you now for 5 years. And there are events that I've had that, and many of them you've been a part of, but there are some that you haven't come to. And I got to tell you something. There's something that I really, really admire about you. And that is Kara has just made it a priority that she's not going to miss these, what she deems as very important moments of her kids. Kara, she'll do whatever for anything else, but for her kids, she's not missing it. There are events. I remember there was one event that I had for Smart Success Healthcare, and I wanted Kara to speak so badly at this event, and she wanted to come to this event so bad, but her son's tournament was around it, and she's like, can't go. And so I'm so inspired by you in your commitment to doing whatever you feel is a true priority for you, no matter what opportunity is there, no matter, you do it. And I think that is what has really allowed you to look outside the box. It's because these things actually mean something to you. And you're like, sometimes we have to do things, not because we love it, but because we hate the way that we are doing things. And I think for you, you genuinely hated working the weekends, like having those, weekend shifts. And you genuinely hated probably working on the holidays because you were kind of low person on a totem pole, right? If you're not the main person or whatnot there. That's what happens when you're part-time. And I just really admire you for doing that and sticking to your guns with it. Even though it might have affected me because I really wanted you to speak at my event. Okay. But I really, really just wanted to tell you that I really admire that from afar. So I need to say that to you. I've never said that to you. So
thank you.
There's a few things that I think are really important. So I'm doing a challenge September 30th to October 4th, and I'm going to have you as one of the guests of the challenge. And that is the Path to Gold Challenge. And I'm really fascinated with alchemy and being an alchemist. And so I don't know if you know, like an alchemist, I read the book by Paulo Coelho, and it was so cool because an alchemist is someone that takes scraps or crappy metal and turns it into gold. And Kara, I look at you and I look at your journey, and what you have done is you've taken what other people have said is scraps and you've turned it into gold. Okay? And you've done this in a few different ways. I mean, number one is your home health-based business. You were struggling with it for quite a while, from 2018 when you started it to 2019. And then what you were able to do is you were able to perform alchemy. You started to learn, wait a minute, there's certain things I'm doing wrong here. And now that business is doing extremely well. It's doing so well that you have your kids working in that business, right? Okay. But yeah, so why don't you talk about that? And can you talk about how you were able to turn that business that was struggling into doing well, and where that business was then versus where it is now, and some of the benefits of getting it to where it is now?
Yeah, so before I met Greg and attended that conference, I was one of those people that was very frugal. I'm a person that goes to Las Vegas and refuses to spend money on a slot machine. One year I went there and I spent $9. Another time I spent $0. Same thing for my business. Remember when we talk about those freepo people way back at one of your events? I'm going to just try to research everything I can off of social media groups and so forth to try to build my business. And I didn't realize it at the time, but a lot of that information out there is inaccurate, and it led me down the wrong path. And it wasn't until I realized the benefit of investing in myself and investing in coaching that really pays off in so many ways. So think about this person that refuses to spend money on things. And I went to this conference and I signed up in for a $30,000 mastermind program. Yeah. And I made darn sure that I was going to get all of that money back and more. So by investing in myself at that time, I mean, I made it all back and more easily. But the other thing is I also learned that I need to do that for all of my businesses in order to really grow.
Yeah.
And I still didn't probably embrace that enough, especially, and I was trying to do way too many things. I mean, running a home therapy solutions business and then starting up Next Level. I mean, it got pretty crazy. And then I would get ideas for something else. So I really learned the importance of kind of niching down. But I also learned the importance of hiring the right people for the right positions and to delegate. And like when I look at my home therapy solutions business, it wasn't until, I brought on a therapy manager, I brought on more full-time therapy employees that our business really doubled in size,
right.
And doubled in income and just really took off. Because before I knew the power of investing, and I was trying to do it all myself, and you couldn't, and you just can't grow with that. So by hiring the right people and delegating and making those decisions, that if someone, I had another coach once tell me that if someone can do it as least as 80% as good as you need to delegate that.
Yeah.
And I took that to heart, and I brought on the right people, and then the business just skyrocketed from there. This past March, brought on a business manager who, again, has just been game changing for our business. So really doing all of that, that's my son if you didn't hear in the background.
It's all good.
Coming home for lunch.
Yeah.
Really made a huge difference with the business. And that's how it really, really grew on the home therapy solutions side. Because I just kind of went along trying to do it all myself, and you can't do it.
Yeah, it's so true. And by the way, I think for those of you out there that are listening that are the cheapo people or the freepo people where you want to get everything for free and then you make that big jump into investing in something, whether that is investing into staff, investing in yourself to learn a new set of skills. I actually think for those of you that fall into that category, which is Kara, and also was myself as well, I actually think you all are the ones that make the biggest jump, because you're like, I'm going to make sure that this investment works out and it works well. So there is, in every investment, there is work to be had in order for the investment to pay off, right? Like before we started on camera and went live, I actually told, Kara, she was like, so how's, your place at Blue Ridge doing? I was like, it's doing great now. We've had it for nearly 20 months. And in the last 4 weeks, we've had more rentals book than we had in the first 19 months, right? And so it's work. It's not just giving this builder $640,000 or $30,000 to go ahead and go build me this awesome cabin in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Like there's work to be done in order to make that asset, pay off. And so now it's paying off like crazy. It's like we're booked all the time. I can barely use my own place, so which is awesome. And that's how it works, you guys. Rich people are rich in mindset before they become rich in money. And the mindset that every single one, and so you can have a rich mindset before you become rich. And you actually need to have a rich mindset before you become rich. And so if you're poor, you could change your mindset today and it will change your life. And so Kara wasn't making a lot of bank in 2019, but she decided to change her mindset and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to have the mindset of a rich person. And the mindset of a rich person is rich people buy time. They don't buy stuff. That's what they do. So whether that is, okay, I'm going to hire a therapist. What are you doing? You're buying your time back. Okay, I'm going to hire a business manager. What are you doing? You're buying your time back. Okay, I'm going to hire some guidance and direction of people that have been in business longer than me. So what are you doing? You're attempting to buy your time back. And if you guys can understand that once you start playing the time game, that's when you have the highest probability of winning. That's what's going to change your life. You've got to play the time game, okay? Whereas what poor people do, and by the way, if you're rich and you take on a poor person's mindset, you will be poor again. Poor people buy distractions. They buy this. You see this thing? They buy this. They buy this phone. They don't use the phone to do podcasts. They use the phone to see what's going on with Trump and what's going on with Biden and what's going on with Harris. And they use it to argue with people. And they use it to watch cat videos with cats flying around chandeliers. And they use it to distract themselves. And so when you focus on distraction instead of focusing on being intentional, well, you're in trouble. Even if you do have money, if you do that long enough, you're not going to have money anymore. And if you don't have money, if you do what I said before, you actually say, you know, I'm going to start to invest in getting to places faster. That's when your life changes. So everybody, your life can change. And Kara's life changed just by coming to the event. It wasn't me. It was a decision she made to stop being so cheap and to stop trying to do everything herself. And so it's not like it's like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. No, there's still work to be done. But she was doing the work anyway, so it was getting you nowhere. So she was doing the work anyways. Well, now you're doing the work. And now you change your mindset and it changed your life. So with that said, now you've got business manager. Don't you have 2 of your kids that are working in that business as well?
Yeah. So actually all 3.
All 3?
Are on payroll.
Okay.
So with our home therapy solutions business, my 2 daughters have worked for me for many years. And they do tasks such as personal caregiving. One of my daughters is the one that does all the cleaning at our clinic. We deliver portable Connect devices to people prior to surgeries. They do that. And my son is starting to do that now too. And it's just, and I was telling Greg before we went on that it's a game changer. I mean, because I can pay my children better than they're going to get paid elsewhere, and they have the flexibility to work around their schedule. So my oldest daughter Jada is in occupational therapy school. She's getting her doctorate here at UND. Jasmine's in nursing. So they have super busy schedules with school, and they're devoted to that. And we want them to still work, but some traditional jobs, like waiting tables, working at a store, whatever, they're stuck working certain days a week and weekends and so forth. And I already told you guys that family time is extremely important to us. So it follows them that I don't want them working a weekend when we're going to be going on vacation for them to miss it. So by them working for me, they're able to make money for our business and pay for their college through the process. So it's worked out really well.
You guys, business is hard, but the amount of perks and advantages that a business can give you that a regular job can't give you is just absolutely amazing. And to me, having a business to where you can have your kids still learn the value of a dollar, they can help you with growing the business. You're able to allow them to have the flexibility in the same way that you were looking for flexibility when you started your business, that them as employees can have that flexibility. To me, that's what it's all about. And that's what, guys, business is tough, yes, but also not having the flexibility to not have your Thanksgiving off, or not having off Christmas, or not having off the holidays, or not having off your weekends, that's really tough too. And so I just think that's phenomenal. And I just love to hear the kind of the change and the evolution that you've gone through, with this. Now, there's something else I want to ask you, because you have another business and I want to talk about that. And I think that business, I don't know the numbers, but I know from an impact standpoint, I would say that Next Level OT has had probably 10 times more impact because of you being able to reach so many OTs that have gone on to do so many amazing things. I think it's been amazing what you've done. And so what I would like to talk about is to everyone that's listening right now is the difference between a level 1 opportunity versus a level 10 opportunity. Have you ever heard this before, Kara?
Not quite sure.
Okay. So let's talk about this, right? Because one of the things that I'm going to be teaching people on the first day of the challenge is the difference between what I think the majority of people in healthcare are doing right now, which is a level 1 opportunity, versus what you're doing with like next level OT, which is, I believe it's a level 10 opportunity. Okay. So everybody, I'm going to explain it. Look, join the challenge and don't be a cheapo and pay the $5 to get on the challenge. Okay. And I will go to this in detail, but I'm going to, for those of you that are the free polls, you'll never buy anything. I'll kind of explain it to you now. All right. A level 1 opportunity is an opportunity to where no matter how hard you work, it's going to have very, very low impact. Okay. So I want to kind of give you guys an example of myself. I'm going to give you guys an example of Kara Welke. Okay. We both graduated in 2000, correct? Right? You graduated in 2000. Okay. So I came out of school and I probably had a skill set of maybe a level 1 to 2. I was a new grad, right? And I was working in a level 1 opportunity. A level 1 opportunity is where I go to work, I go to a clinic, I treat a patient. I give that person value, I make impact on this one individual. So that could be Mr. Smith, that could be, Mrs. Taylor, that could be whoever is in front of me. Okay, it's a level 1 opportunity. Now, here's what happened. As soon as I got out of school, I went to my first continuing education course. And then I went to my next one. And then I went to my next one. And then I went to the next and the next and the next and the next. And after 18 months, I had 180 continuing education units. That's how much I did. I basically did like a continuing education course 2 to 3 weekends every single month. Okay? That's what I did. So I ended up moving from a skill set of a level 1 skill set. I probably moved to like a level 4. And I probably did it in about 12 to 18 months. But I was still in the level 1 opportunity. I was still only helping Mr. Smith, Mrs. Taylor, Mr. Jones. That's it. I was in a level 1 opportunity. Okay? All right. So now let's talk about today. Today, I'm at a level 10 opportunity, right? I meet one person. One person is Kara Welke. I meet her at an event. Okay? She looks at what I'm doing at my event. She's like, oh my gosh, we should do this for OTs. One person, she goes and she takes the level 10 opportunity that I'm in an event. She goes and says, I'm going to go create my own level 10 opportunity. She has no clue it's a level 10 opportunity. Okay. But she goes, okay, I'm going to go and teach other occupational therapists how to do business. So she doesn't have a high level of skill doing this, but she has a lower level skill doing it, but she's in a very, very, very high level opportunity. So if she can improve her skill set in a level 10 opportunity, means that I'm now teaching a therapist how to go and create more impact. Her impact becomes exponential. So much more than she can do with her home therapy solutions. So much more than I can do with renewal rehab, even though I have multiple clinics. It's because I can reach people all over. I have people in Australia. I got people in India. I got people in Guatemala. I got people in Brazil, right? Because it's a level 10 opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, guys, you got to ask yourself this. In order for you to create gold out of your crap, really what you got to do is you got to move from a level 1 to a level 10. You don't got to become any smarter. You just got to say, hey, how can I take what it is that I'm doing now and have the ability to take the same amount of time, but help so much more people? So let's talk about next level OT now. You've had that since 2019 when you got started. How many people has that group helped to actually spawn off and start businesses?
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. So we started that Facebook group at your event, and then I started your mastermind program. And in August of that year, I formally created a business with Next Level OT.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me, because I was trying to decide what I really wanted to do. And between May, well, it's the end of May, so June, July, and August, like, I just served. I mean, you always talk about serving. I mean, I just listened. I met with people. We had group discussions with people that were interested in going, and just listened. I didn't create anything right away. We had meetings, we had, Zoom calls, we got on phone calls, and just listen to what people wanted. And initially I started like this next level visionary group. And it was kind of a monthly group membership type program and so forth. But then came in October, and then the following January, a lot of changes with, PDPM, PDGM, and so forth, and therapists losing their jobs. And I was like, I reached out to you. I talked to Steve, who's the CEO of Hello Note. I'm like, we need to do something to help these people learn that they don't need to work for traditional healthcare. They can start and build their business like we do. Mm-hmm. And I remember you saying to me, build a product or a course or whatever you want to do that you wish you would have had when you started your business. And so that's when we started the Therapy Business Builder program. Mm-hmm. It was 100% and still is what I wish I would have had when I was starting my business, because it would have saved me thousands of dollars, but it also would have saved me thousands of hours of my own time and minimize stress and everything else that goes into it.
Great.
And when I started the Therapy Business Builder program, you also got to realize that I was still at a fairly young level of, home therapy solutions. So over the course of the last, 5 years, our Therapy Business Builder program has dramatically changed. And we really are always trying to constantly improve it, listen to our therapists' needs. And as my business grows, I also see what needs to happen and how things need to change. So it's continually growing over the past, several years into what it is today. And I look at the therapist, and I'm sure you see this too in your programs that you have. I mean, we have therapists that come in and think like the program's going to kind of just do the magical work for you, which it's not.
Right.
But the therapists that come in that truly are investing in themselves and their business, I mean, I get to the point where I'm almost jealous, because I'm like, man, at the stage you're at now, I was a train wreck.
Yeah.
And you're setting this foundation, and I know where I'm at right now, and our business is doing very well. I'm like, you should be doing flipping amazing by the time you get there, right? Because you have the right foundation, and you're not making all of the mistakes that the majority of people relying on their phone, scrolling social media instead of investing are making. So yeah, I mean, it all started from do what you wish you would have had, and it still goes back to that now. I mean, issues that we come up to now as big business. I mean, I'm currently looking at, do I want to purchase a building? Do I want to continue to rent and so forth? Like, I'm going through all of this that then I pass down to the people in our program so we can help them avoid any mistakes and kind of sail through it easier. Sometimes I almost think it's a detriment, and you can tell me your opinion, because sometimes they don't know how good they have it when they start in our program from the scratch. Versus lately, we're having a lot of therapists come to us after they've had a business up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and they're a disaster. And then they come to us, and we're helping them undisasterize it. And so they really see the benefit, right? Because they're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? Like a person I was meeting with 2 days ago, like they'd had a business for a long time, but they weren't making anything in it, which is, it's crazy. I mean, why are you doing all this to not make anything? And we looked at their quarters, their revenue from the last, the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. And I mean, it's since starting our program, they've they've doubled it and
Right.
are then doubling it again and so forth. So I almost love it more when other people's businesses excel than I even get excited for our business excelling, because it's so fun seeing these therapists being successful and then enjoying their life. I mean, one more example. One therapist in our program, I've been working on her for so long to get a virtual assistant. First learned about virtual assistants from Greg Todd. No idea what a virtual assistant was. I mean, nothing. And she wrote everything in her notebook, so again, another system I learned from you is a CRM, like with Go High Level. And we use that for our business. And on Labor Day, she sent me a message that I put away my book today. Everything is now automated. And a couple days later, we were on a meeting and she said, my mom told me that I don't look stressed anymore like I used to. And I went away for 3 days. Because again, she is investing in herself and her business. She now has a virtual admin and she's using the CRM and she's just growing. And nothing makes me more happy than that. And seeing like our therapist grow and bloom and blossom with their businesses. So that's a long-winded answer to your question. But
No, I'm trying to decide what is a direction I want to take with it, with regards to the two different types of people that you're talking about. So I think what you're seeing is the group that you're saying that, hey, they started a business, they've been doing it for whatever, a couple months, maybe a couple years, struggling like crazy, and then they're like, okay, help, like I need help, I can't do this anymore. I think what you're getting from those people is an appreciation, right? They appreciate, like, they've been in it, they've tried it, they know the pain that is associated with doing it in the way that they're doing it. And so there's a level of gratitude and appreciation that they have for you saying, hey, look, follow the path that I've kind of made with this, okay? What you're doing right now is on a pathway to where you're currently at, but you're never going to leave there. So what you're getting from those people is an appreciation. And so because they appreciate what it is that you're doing for them, they're applying what it is that you're telling them to do. There's a lot of good to that, okay? Mm-hmm. There are other people, but there's also some bad to it as well, okay? And that when people have been doing it a certain way, there is comfort in continuing to stay with the habits that you have, right? I mean, they're like people that, and I'm not here crushing y'all that smoke, but I mean, I think like smoking's probably not the best thing for you, right? But it's a habit. So it's like bringing out cigarette. It's a habit. It's not good, but it's hard to break a habit. Like, I get it. I'm not a smoker, but I get it. I get habits are hard to break. And so I say that because then you got the younger people or the people that haven't started a business yet. They might not appreciate it as much, but they don't have the bad habits yet. So it's
yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of a tricky thing, It's like, as being an OG in this space, I have worked with both. I feel like when I started in 2016 with SSPT to even like 2019-20, the majority of my clients were fairly young. Okay, it's a fairly young crowd. I've noticed that my client base has actually gotten much older. Okay, so there's a lot more gratitude, but for the young people that have been able to withstand it, they have a lot more gratitude for what Uncle G was giving them back then, after they've kind of gotten now their face punched in, and bashed in the wall a couple times in business. So, it's tricky. I mean, either way, it's two groups, and I think what we're seeing, Kara, and I think what you're seeing and I'm seeing in my business is that there are people now. You're probably getting an older client base of therapists that are like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been doing it this way, and it's not going to get me to where I want to get to. And now there's massive urgency because they've probably got 10 years left before they want to start to scale back. And now they realize I got to build a business and I don't have time to waste. Remember what I said in the beginning of the podcast? Okay. The rich mindset buys time. And so they're like, listen, I'm not going to argue with you. Tell me what to do. And I got to do it because it's very urgent right now. So I think that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. You guys, I hope you've taken away a lot from this podcast. The fact that, yes, I'm not trying to say that it's easy to have two businesses. Obviously, we could, wait, before we finish, why don't we talk about some of the sucky things? Let's talk about some of the sucky things that goes into having two businesses. Sometimes not being able to shut it off. Maybe sometimes, businesses go up. One's doing great. One's tanking. One's doing this, that. Here, go ahead. Let's keep it real with the people.
So, I'll first say that I would have gotten a lot farther faster if I would have focused on my one business and got it up and going and delegated and got it moving where I wanted it to be before focusing on my next business. Mm-hmm. And I think it also depends on your level of your business, okay? Like, right. I'm talking 2 full-fledged businesses here versus right. like a little side business, right? Right. That's different. So niching down and getting something good first before you try to do all these other things, I feel is important. Because when I was starting these 2 businesses at the same time and I didn't delegate, I didn't invest as much as I should have, then I was doing so much mm-hmm. by myself. And yes, I had the time flexibility, which extremely important to me, but it's still a lot of time and effort to do it, So now that I have them staffed and I have people working for me, because people always ask, and I know they ask you too, like, how do you do it all? I don't do it all.
I don't
anymore.
Yeah.
I pay people in both programs, to help with the coaching, to help with running it, to help with everything. So if something happened to me, they could keep on going. Right. But then something happens, like say with our healthcare business, and the cyber attack that helped with March or right. It happened in March. I had to step back in and help figure out what we were going to do to overcome that, so even though I'm running at a CEO level and I have other people running the day-to-day stuff, there's still times you have to step into it. So I just think with 2 businesses, you think about how much stress one business can bring, especially in the healthcare world, whether it's, something with billing or it's something with staffing or it's new regulations that are taking place. There's always something that goes into it, and then you multiply it and add another business. And Greg, like with our Therapy Business Builder program, just the whole concept of the Freeple people that we talked about earlier, a lot of people when they're first starting out don't see the value of investing in the program. So it does right. take education and training in that to get people to understand the value of our program. So it's right. not like it doesn't take work to get out there and do what we need to do to help show people what we're doing to really help them get there to where right. they need to be. So
yeah, makes a huge makes
running both businesses, just keeping up with everything, and once they get to the level where we're at, it just brings in a whole nother component with making sure you have the right financial management team, and to make sure you're doing what you should with money and planning for the future. You're looking at bigger level things, purchasing buildings, adding on more staff, not adding on more staff. Do you add on more programs? Do you not add on more programs? There's just always something that's coming up with it.
It never ends. And that's the reason. Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the big reasons why you can continue to help people, even for those of you that feel like I'm not qualified. Let me tell you something. If you follow Kara Welke's path in that, hey, you know what? I am further along than a lot of people would love to be where I'm at right now. And even in 2019, that was the case. Whereas a lot of people don't have any clue or any concept of, like what it is that they need to do. And over time, as you continue to build and you're building and you're growing, you're going to continue to be able to help those people grow. And some people might surpass you, but many will continue to, come on the gravy train with you. And so anyways, you've done that. And, I'm just very impressed with everything that you've been able to pull off. And I think more importantly is that you've done all this. I'm not saying it's been easy, but you've done all this honoring your values of being there for your kids. And that's really admirable. So anyways, with that said, we're going to be having you on as a guest in the Path to Gold, challenge. I'm not sure which day I'm going to have you come on, but you guys, you're going to want to learn from Kara and want to learn from all the other guests that are going to be a part of the challenge as well. It's going to be awesome. It'll be September 30th to October 4th. It'll be $5 for you to learn from me and all of my guest speakers for 5 days. And I would highly advise you to upgrade to VIP because that's where a lot of the magic's going to happen as well. But it's going to be an awesome challenge, and you guys are going to love it. So, Kara, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes, so you can go to www.nextlevelot.com, and I will put a plug out there that, yes, it is Next Level Occupational Therapy, but over the course of the last 5 years, we probably have helped just as many physical therapists, PTAs, OTAs as well start their own business. I see a lot of OTAs and PTAs where they don't think they can start a business in like healthcare, like my mobile outpatient, and we've helped several of them start a business. So we do help all professionals start a business. So if you want to go to our website, www.nextlevelot.com, you can email me, Kara@nextlevelot.com. We also are just launching a new home and community therapist network and directory. We didn't even talk about this, but one of my most precious passions is really helping older adults live in their home environment, travel, enjoy life, continue to be active. And I really feel that as therapy professionals, we are the key people to be doing this. And a lot of other healthcare professionals don't necessarily understand that. And if we're not doing it, other people that aren't even educated are doing it. So we have lots of information on that as well. But my goal is to help inspire, even if you're not part of our program, just join our Facebook group, our Next Level Occupational Therapy Facebook group, and hopefully you'll get inspired on something you can do to reach the next level in your career, whether that's starting a business, doing more education, or maybe doing a new hobby or volunteering to help inspire you do other things. So
can't believe this started in 2019 and what it's turned into. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you, and it's been really awesome to watch this journey. So let's continue to do it. Let's continue to do it.
Thank you very much. And it's all right, because I invested, and I got rid of my free fall mindset and invested back in 2019. That's the only reason I am where I am now, is that initial investment, and then continuing to learn the importance of investing in myself, in my businesses, so that I could have the time to do what I want with my family, but also help my businesses grow.
You know what? I'm going to just leave you all with this. The Bible talks about redeeming your time, and the word redeem means to buy back. And I really do believe that it's in everyone's best interest to buy back the rest of your time so that you can enjoy the rest of your life. And also to understand this, you need to buy back your time because the days will be hard. Okay? The days will be hard. It's a harder world that we live in compared to when I was growing up. It's harder for not just us, it's harder for our kids. They're going to have a much harder go at it than we are. And Kara, you're living the redeemed life. because you are buying back your time, whether it's through you building a business, whether it's you investing in your business, whether it's you investing in your children, having your children work with you to build this asset that you all have, which is a business, which is then allowing you to have other things that you're building as well. And you're doing the right thing. I just want to tell you that, okay? You're doing the right thing because life is only going to get harder. I kid you not, when I was in Blue Ridge last week, I was at a place and they're doing self-checkout and they're asking for tips for self-checkout. I'm like, do I get the tip? Wait, how the hell, what? You guys, this wasn't the case 10, 15 years ago, okay? It's getting harder. And if you're not setting it up, if you're just setting up just to get by, you're actually leaving a negative legacy for your family. Like you're not setting them up. I'm not saying that I'm going to set up my kids for them not to work, but I want to set it up for them to have a head start, even though I didn't have a head start. Okay? Why? Because it's freaking harder. Okay? It's harder for them than it was for me. And it's going to be harder for their children than it was for them. So what the things we're just talking about on this podcast, I think are so powerful for you all to really learn the process of redeeming back your time. Okay, I could go on and on. I thank you all for listening. This was a fantastic episode. Kara, thank you for being on. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Awesome.